When Emily Carter rolled up her sleeve that morning, the laughter started before she even reached the registration table. It wasn't cruel at first, just the kind of snickering that people do when they see something they don't understand. Her tattoo was bold and simple, a black anchor intertwined with a rose, spread across her forearm. The anchor symbolized her father, a Navy SEAL who'd died in combat. The rosé, her mother's favorite flower, she'd planted them every spring, even after her husband never came home. But no one there knew that. To the crowd of sharp uniformed ROTC cadets and recruits at the Navy training evaluation event, Emily just looked like another wannabe trying to play soldier. "Nice tattoo," a tall cadet said with a smirk. "Planning to join a biker gang or something?" Emily just smiled, though her heart thudded painfully in her chest. "No," she said softly. "Something bigger." The laughter grew louder as she walked away. But Emily wasn't here to impress anyone. She was here to finish what her father started. 2 years earlier, Emily had been the quiet one in school, bookish, awkward, never the athletic type. When her dad's unit never returned from an operation overseas, the silence in their home became unbearable. Her mother held it together for Emily's sake, but something in both of them had broken. Then one evening, Emily had found an old letter hidden in her father's footlocker. It was a message he'd written before deployment, in case he didn't come home. "Greater than, if you're reading this, kiddo, it means I didn't make it back. But that's not what matters. What matters is that you remember what strength really means. It's not about muscles or medals. It's about standing tall when everyone else sits down." She'd cried for hours that night. But by morning, she'd made a decision. She was going to live by his words. Emily began training. She ran before dawn. She pushed herself through burpees, push-ups, and long swims at the community pool. Her hands blistered, her legs burned, and more than once she thought about quitting. But she never did, and the tattoo, that anchor and rose, became her promise to herself. A daily reminder of why she started. Now, standing at the Navy training grounds 2 years later, she was ready to be tested. The day's event was a physical endurance challenge open to top ROTC cadets and civilians seeking to prove their strength. It wasn't official Navy training, but SEAL instructors were there, overseeing every detail. For Emily, it was more than a test of strength. It was a chance to prove that she belonged in a world most thought she could never enter. The first task was a mile swim through freezing water. She dove in, every muscle screaming against the cold. Around her, others surged ahead. By the halfway mark, her limbs were numb. She heard echoes of the cadets, laughter in her mind, but louder still was her father's voice from that letter: "Stand tall when everyone else sits down." She kept going. One by one, swimmers dropped out, clutching at their sides, gasping for air. Emily's strokes grew slower, but steadier. When she finally reached the shore, she collapsed onto the sand, last, but still in the game. The next stage was an obstacle course straight out of a nightmare: rope climbs, mud pits, and barbed wire. Emily was small compared to most competitors, and she fell behind again. Some of the cadets smirked as they passed her. But when one of them slipped and fell hard on the rope wall, it was Emily, mud-covered and trembling, who climbed down and helped him up. "Why'd you stop?" he muttered, embarrassed. She smiled, panting, "Because you would have done the same." And then she climbed again, faster this time. By the end, her knees were scraped raw, and her arms felt like fire. But when the instructor called for final push-ups, she dropped to the ground and didn't stop until her face touched the dirt. When the last whistle blew, Emily was shaking, covered in mud, hair plastered to her face. She was dead last in time, but she was the only civilian who finished every challenge without quitting. The laughter was gone now. As the crowd gathered for final announcements, a man in full SEAL dress blues stepped forward. His chest gleamed with medals, and every cadet straightened at his presence. The commander had been watching silently all day. He walked past the cadets and stopped in front of Emily. Everyone held their breath. Then, to the shock of the entire field, the commander saluted her. Emily froze, unsure what to do. The crowd did too. And then he spoke. "Miss Carter," he said, his voice carrying over the field, "I served with your father. He was one of the bravest men I ever knew. And today, you reminded me of him." Emily's breath caught in her throat. The commander's eyes softened as he nodded toward her tattoo. "He used to say," the commander continued, "an anchor holds strong, even when the storm tries to drag it under. You've done him proud." No one laughed anymore. Some of the cadets looked away, ashamed. A few even stepped forward to shake her hand. Emily didn't speak for a long time. She just stared at the man who had known her father, the man who saw her, truly saw her, when no one else did. Finally, she said quietly, "Thank you, sir. I just wanted to prove that strength doesn't always look the same." The commander smiled. "You just did." That night, when Emily went home, her mother was waiting by the door. She didn't need to say anything, she'd already seen the story spreading online, the photo of the SEAL commander saluting the young woman with the anchor and rose tattoo. Emily just hugged her and whispered, "I think Dad would have smiled today." Her mother nodded, eyes glistening. He would have stood tall and saluted too. Months later, Emily would go on to join the Navy as a medical officer, helping others push through their own storms. And whenever someone asked about her tattoo, she would smile, not because of the laughter it once brought, but because of what it meant. That courage isn't about being the strongest person in the room. It's about standing tall, even when the world doubts you.